This is my personal account of the events that unfolded when I accidentally stumbled upon the infamous SCP Foundation, a secretive organization that deals with paranormal and anomalous entities. What I witnessed within the confines of their facility haunts me to this day, and I feel compelled to share my harrowing experience with the world. It all began when I, a curious and amateur paranormal investigator, stumbled upon a mysterious website that mentioned SCP Foundation. Intrigued, I delved deeper, uncovering classified information about their covert operations and containment of otherworldly entities. Driven by my insatiable curiosity, I embarked on a journey to find out more. Through various online forums and cryptic messages, I was finally able to locate the entrance to an underground facility hidden in a remote forest. With trembling anticipation, I made my way inside, unaware of the horrors that awaited me. The first thing that struck me was the overwhelming sense of dread that hung in the air. The facility was sterile, with harsh fluorescent lights casting eerie shadows along the long corridors. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I ventured deeper into the unknown. As I explored the facility, I came across numerous containment chambers, each housing a different SCP object or creature. Some were benign, while others exuded malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. The emotions I experienced were a tumultuous mix of awe, fear, and curiosity, as I witnessed entities that defied all logic and reason. The encounters with the SCP entities were both fascinating and terrifying. I saw creatures that could manipulate time, objects that defied the laws of physics, and even humanoid entities with mind-bending abilities. The level of containment and security measures in place were beyond anything I had ever seen, and it was clear that the SCP Foundation was not to be taken lightly. However, as I delved deeper into the facility, I realized that not everything was as it seemed. I stumbled upon classified documents that hinted at unethical experiments, inhumane treatment of SCP entities, and even cover-ups of catastrophic events. My initial curiosity turned into a growing sense of horror as I realized the true extent of the Foundation's activities. My emotions were in turmoil. I felt torn between the fascination of uncovering the unknown and the horror of the atrocities committed by the SCP Foundation. I was plagued by nightmares, tormented by the images of the entities I had encountered, and haunted by the moral implications of the Foundation's actions. But things took a drastic turn when I stumbled upon an SCP object that seemed to have a mind of its own. It was a seemingly innocuous-looking artifact, but it emitted an otherworldly aura that drew me towards it. As I touched it, I felt a surge of power coursing through me, and I was overcome with a sense of invincibility. Driven by an inexplicable compulsion, I made my way to the heart of the facility, bypassing the security measures effortlessly. Guards and personnel who crossed my path were incapacitated with a mere touch, as I wielded the power of the SCP object with reckless abandon. My rampage continued unchecked as I made my way to the central control room. I disabled the security systems and breached the containment chambers of the most dangerous SCP entities. Chaos erupted as the once secure facility descended into anarchy. The entities wreaked havoc, and I was caught in the midst of the mayhem, fueled by the power of the SCP object. But as the dust settled, I realized the grave mistake I had made. The entities were no longer contained, and they were now unleashed upon the world. I watched in horror as the once contained SCP entities ran amok, causing destruction and chaos in their wake. The facility that was once a bastion of secrecy and control was now a war zone, with personnel scrambling to contain the unleashed entities. As I tried to make my escape, I was confronted by Foundation agents who had been dispatched to neutralize the threat. They pleaded with me to surrender the SCP object and stop the carnage, but the power coursing through me was intoxicating. I refused to let go of the object, driven by a sense of invincibility and madness. A desperate battle ensued, with the Foundation agents using their advanced weaponry and containment protocols to try and subdue me. But the SCP object granted me unparalleled abilities, and I was able to fend them off with ease. The emotions within me were a maelstrom of fear, anger, and confusion, as I struggled to maintain control. But eventually, the inevitable happened. The SCP object's power became too much to handle, and I lost control of my own actions. The object seemed to have a mind of its own, directing me towards a containment chamber housing an entity of unimaginable power. With a mere touch, the entity was unleashed, and all hell broke loose. The facility was torn apart as the unleashed entity went on a rampage, unleashing its devastating abilities upon everything in its path. Foundation personnel and SCP entities alike were powerless against its wrath. I was caught in the midst of the destruction, a witness to the catastrophic consequences of my actions. As the facility crumbled around me, I realized the magnitude of my mistake. I had unleashed a force that was beyond human comprehension, and I was powerless to stop it. The emotions that surged through me were a whirlwind of regret, terror, and despair. My fascination with the unknown had brought about catastrophic consequences that I could never have imagined. In a last desperate attempt to rectify my mistake, I reached out to the Foundation agents, urging them to contain the unleashed entity. But it was too late. The entity's power was unstoppable, and it consumed everything in its path, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. I'd barely managed to escape the crumbling facility, but the guilt and horror of what I had unleashed haunted me for the rest of my life. The SCP Foundation classified the incident as a catastrophic containment breach, and the facility was lost forever. To this day, I live with the burden of my actions, haunted by the memories of the SCP entities and the destruction I inadvertently caused. The SCP Foundation has continued its secretive operations, but I know the truth that the deep web holds dark secrets that should never be tampered with, lest the consequences be catastrophic. And as I recount my story, I urge others to heed my warning. The SCP Foundation and the deep web are not to be taken lightly. The unknown can be a force beyond comprehension, and the consequences of meddling with it can be dire. Be wary of the curiosity that leads you down dark paths, for the horrors that await may be beyond your worst nightmares.